Have you ever stopped to think about how the radio or TV show you're enjoying gets from some studio in the middle of a city to a transmitter way up on a remote mountain and then, finally, to you? There's this critical, totally invisible link that makes it all happen. And for decades, just figuring that part out was a massive engineering puzzle. So let's dive into how it's done.
Welcome! This is part 27 of our 40-part series on modern broadcast transmission by Virtualization Options LLC. Today, we're going to dig into the technology that completely revolutionized that invisible link, turning a decades-old hardware problem into a modern networking solution.
All right, so here's the fundamental challenge that every single broadcaster has to deal with. The studio, where all the creative magic happens, is almost never in the same place as the transmitter, the thing doing the heavy lifting of blasting the signal out over the air. We're talking about miles and miles of separation usually.
And that connection, which we call the studio-to-transmitter link, or just STL for short, has always been one of the most vital parts of the entire broadcast chain. I mean, think about it. If that link goes down, the station goes silent. It is literally that simple. Getting it right isn't just important, it's everything.
For years and years, the absolute gold standard was a dedicated microwave radio link. Just picture a super-focused radio beam shot directly from the studio to the transmitter. Now, it was incredibly reliable for sure, but it had some major drawbacks. It was super expensive, really inflexible, and here's the kicker. It needed a perfect, crystal-clear, unobstructed line of sight. A new skyscraper goes up, a grove of trees gets a little too tall, bam, you could lose your connection.
So that kind of raises the obvious question, doesn't it? In a world where we can stream 4K video from halfway across the planet on our phones, is there really not a better way to make this invisible link? Well, you probably guessed it. The answer is a huge, resounding yes. And that solution is an absolute game changer. It's called Audio over IP, or AOIP. And it basically means using the exact same internet technology that connects our computers and phones to handle this mission-critical professional broadcast link.
And the shift is pretty dramatic. We're talking about going from this specialized, bulky radio hardware, like that microwave dish, to standard, off-the-shelf IT gear with simple Ethernet ports. It's a massive leap from sending radio waves through the air to sending data packets over a wire.
At its heart, the idea is beautiful in its simplicity. AIOP takes that perfect, high-quality audio right from the studio, chops it up into tiny little data packets, and just sends it across a normal IP network, the same way an email or a web page gets to you. This gives broadcasters incredible flexibility, and you guessed it, huge cost savings compared to the old way. Now, of course, it's not just one single technology. It's kind of like spoken languages. There are a few different AOIP protocols out there, like Livewire and Dante. But the really good news is the industry came together and created a sort of universal translator, an open standard called AES-67 that lets all the different gear from all the different brands talk to each other.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking right about now. The internet? To run a 24/7 broadcast? My home internet cuts out when I'm just trying to watch Netflix. And that right there is the core engineering challenge. How do you take this standard internet tech and make it absolutely bulletproof, reliable enough for broadcasting?
Well, it all starts with understanding the process. First, the audio is encoded, digitized. Then it's broken into all those little packets and sent across the network. Now, because the internet is, the internet, the packets might show up a tiny bit out of order or with slight timing differences. Engineers call that jitter. So the gear on the receiving end uses what's called a jitter buffer to just briefly hold on to the packets, put them all back in the perfect order, and then reconstruct the original audio flawlessly.
The very first hurdle you have to clear is something called latency. That's the delay between the studio and the transmitter. And if you've ever been on a video call and heard that weird, distracting echo of your own voice, you've experienced bad latency. For a radio host listening to the broadcast in their headphones, a delay like that is completely unusable.
So, what's the solution? Well, the engineers have absolutely crushed this problem. Modern AOIP systems have gotten the total end-to-end latency down to less than 5 milliseconds. Let me put that in perspective. That is a delay so incredibly small it is physically impossible for the human ear to perceive it. So, problem solved.
Okay, next challenge, synchronization. Imagine you're sending stereo audio, a left channel and a right channel. They have to be reassembled with perfect timing, right down to the microsecond. This is all managed by a really clever network protocol called Precision Time Protocol, or PTP. You can think of it like a digital conductor for an orchestra, making sure every single instrument, every single packet is perfectly in time.
And finally, we get to the big one,
Reliability. How do you stop a station from going off the air if a network connection dies? The answer is one word: redundancy. Broadcasters build in tons of failsafes. They'll use two totally separate network paths, often from two different internet companies. If one path has a problem, an automatic system switches over to the backup in seconds. The really advanced systems even send the audio down both paths at the exact same time, so if one fails, the switchover is instant, with literally zero dead air.
So, when you step back and look at all this, you start to realize it's way more than just a new kind of cable. This is a fundamental shift in what it even means to be a broadcast engineer. The world of broadcasting and the world of information technology, they've officially merged.
You know, a traditional broadcast engineer worried about things like audio quality and signal flow. Today, they have to be IT experts too. They have to understand network concepts like packet loss and network topology. The old language of RF links is now joined by the language of IP routing and network tools like QoS and VLANs.
And this quote from the source material really just hits the nail on the head. It says you can't troubleshoot these modern IP-based links unless you understand both the audio systems and the network diagnostics. You need to be a hybrid expert. It is a whole new ballgame, for sure.
So this leaves us with a final and pretty fascinating question. This technology effectively turns a whole broadcast station into just another application running on a data network. As that idea really takes hold and the lines between broadcasting and IT just keep getting blurrier, what do you think the future of media is even going to look like?